Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Sabi Haq, and for some of the year I live here in a place called the Roundhouse, which is in the harbour town of Wick, in the far north of Scotland, not too far from the very top of mainland Britain, John O'Groats. So Wick is derived from the Viking word Vik, which means bay, which you can see quite clearly, and it actually belonged to Norway until the 12th century. I live on the Pulteney Town side of the river, named after William Pulteney. This is a painting of him by Gainsborough, owned by Yale University. So Pulteney was an MP in the House of Commons and apparently one of the richest men in the country at the time, and he owned several slave plantations, including on the island of Grenada in the Caribbean. Pulteney became governor of the British Fisheries Society and commissioned the civil engineer Thomas Telford to design a new town called Pulteney Town. In the early 1800s, Pulteney Town was a refuge for many people displaced by the Highland clearances, and in the later part of the century became one of the busiest herring fishing ports in Europe. There had to be so many fishing boats that you could walk across the harbour from boat to boat. The harbour was expanded by a man called James Bremner, who also raised the SS Great Britain, Brunel's great ship, after it ran aground in Northern Ireland. Bremner was the second occupant of the Roundhouse, and he's responsible for raising its ground floor to become what is the current first floor. The fishing fleets moved on in the 20th century, and Vic went into a period of decline. Its population is still falling, and it's got a slightly bleak end of the world vibe to it. I have to say I love it here. I really love it. For 25 years I worked as a doctor in the British NHS and as a lecturer in various universities. This was where my last job was, as a consultant in a rural general hospital. It was a fantastic place to work. It had a real family feel to it, and it was certainly a place where everyone knew your name. I retired just over a year ago, and I've got a lot more time, although you never know. I'm certainly seeing things that I haven't seen before. All sorts of things crop up in Wick. One of the things I loved most about being a doctor was learning so much. Every single day, big things, little things. Nothing more important than a lesson that life is short and life is precious. I think learning is the most magical thing, and I'd like to keep learning. And I find the best way of learning is learning with others. And that's the purpose of this channel, to encourage learning by sharing stories and experiments and experiences. There's so much violence and chaos in the world. I think the most radical thing we can do to live better is to refashion, to reforge our notion of time. Time doesn't go, time doesn't move, time is. And if we can remember how to anchor ourselves to the moon and the sun and the stars, my belief is that that will bring us peace. Who doesn't want to see more sunrises and more sunsets? I'm Muslim, and part of that involves noticing the sunrise, the meridian, and the sunset, or at least trying to. And this ritual washing, called wudu, in Wick at least, is the closest thing I'll get to cold water therapy. If you want to come along for the ride, that would be wonderful. You can subscribe to our newsletter below. Thanks for watching. Salam, peace, shalom.